All right, today we're going to pull some incredible trading wisdom from a place you might never expect, the ancient book of Job. It's really a story about suffering that just defies easy answers. And that's a feeling I think a lot of traders know maybe a little too well. So let's dive into the lessons it holds for us.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had one of those losses? You know the one. It's so big, so out of the blue, that it just makes no sense. You followed your system to the letter, you did everything right, and you still got completely wiped out. We're going to call this a job loss, and it's honestly one of the most brutal things a trader can ever go through.
Okay, so our first big idea is what we're calling the unseen wager. See, the story doesn't start with Job making some rookie mistake. It actually starts with a cosmic test, a bet that he has absolutely no idea is even happening. And right there, that's lesson one. Not every loss has a cause that you can see on your chart.
And this slide really nails the disconnect. On the left, you've got the trader's reality, right? Everything looks perfect. You were disciplined, the trade followed the system. But on the right, there's this hidden cosmic reality where there are variables you can't account for. The point is, some of your worst losses, they might not be about your failures at all. They might just be a test. You're part of a much bigger story you can't fully see.
And this is Job's immediate response. Before he has any answers, before he understands anything, he loses it all, his wealth, his kids, everything. And his first move is to worship. This is highlighted as the absolute pinnacle of trading character, the ability to keep your integrity and your perspective even when you're facing a loss that you just cannot explain.
So, what happens next? Well, we get to the comfort of fools. After the initial shock wears off, Job's friends show up. And their so-called helpful advice, it actually does way more harm than good. This whole section is a masterclass in what not to do when a fellow trader is down.
But first, for 7 days and 7 nights, Job's friends do the single most helpful thing they will ever do for him. They just sit with him. In total silence. They just offer their presence. You know, in a trading community, that is pure gold. Sometimes the best support you can give someone who just got blown up is to just be there without a single word of analysis or you should have advice.
And here it is. This is the exact moment it all goes sideways. Eliphaz, the first friend to open his mouth, says this. And you know what? It's beautifully poetic, it's theologically sound, and in this situation, it is completely and totally wrong. He's applying a general truth that bad things happen to bad people to the one situation where it's catastrophically false. He's basically saying, dude, you must have some secret sin.
And this slide breaks down that toxic pattern. See how it works? It starts with a gentle suggestion, something like, maybe you missed something in your analysis. Then it moves to a confident identification of a flaw. And finally, it ends with this damning declaration. The fact that you lost proves you were guilty. It's a huge warning against any mentor, or even that critical voice in your own head, whose certainty just gets louder and louder without any new evidence.
So how does Job respond to all this? He rages. He gets angry. And that brings us to our third section, rage honestly addressed. This reframes that raw emotion, not as a failure of character, but as a crucial step toward finding the truth, as long as you bring it to the right address.
See, Job doesn't bottle it up. He doesn't blame the market or lash out at his friends. He takes his raw, unfiltered, bitter complaint directly to the source, to God. And what's so amazing is that at the very end of the book, God says Job was the one who spoke what was right, not his friends with their polished, safe, but totally wrong theology.
So, here's the lesson for us traders. Rage itself isn't the problem. It's where you send it, right? Yelling at yourself just leads to shame spirals. Blaming the market makes you paranoid. But directing that honest complaint, that fire, into a journal or talking it out with a trusted partner, that can be the beginning of a real, honest conversation, a real breakthrough. It's catharsis that actually leads to clarity.
And this brings us to the climax of the entire story, the whirlwind's answer. Job has demanded an explanation, he's been brutally honest, and now, finally, he gets a response. It's just not the one anyone was expecting. The lesson? The market doesn't owe you an explanation.
So God finally speaks, but he speaks out of a whirlwind, and he doesn't answer a single one of Job's questions. Instead, he fires back with about 70 of his own, starting with this one. The point here isn't to be cruel. It's to radically, fundamentally shift Job's perspective from his tiny problem to the vastness of reality.
The questions just keep coming, each one designed to show Job just how little he truly understands about the world he lives in. It's the ultimate lesson in humility.
It's like you want to judge the entire system, but you don't even understand a fraction of how it all works. For a trader, this is the market speaking directly to you. It does not owe you an explanation for its moves. And then, God introduces a creature that embodies all of this untamable, unpredictable wildness. A force of nature so huge, so powerful, that it completely defies human control. This creature is Leviathan.
Leviathan represents those forces in the market that you simply cannot tame. Think about it. Black swans, flash crashes, some sudden geopolitical event that just blows up every single one of your technical setups. These are the Leviathans of the market. You can't domesticate them. Your job isn't to control them. It's to build a risk management system that can survive when they inevitably show up.
And that brings us to our final section, from hearing to seeing. After this overwhelming, terrifying encounter, Job is fundamentally changed. The resolution of the story isn't really about getting his stuff back. It's about this profound internal shift that changes everything.
This quote right here is maybe the ultimate statement of a trader's development. It's that moment when all the theory becomes real lived experience. It's the difference between knowing about risk and truly seeing it play out on your screen. This is the payoff for surviving the whirlwind.
This slide breaks down those two kinds of knowledge perfectly. On the left, you have herd knowledge. That's all the books, the courses, the mentors, the backtests. It's all essential theory. But on the right, you have seen knowledge. And that only comes from screen time, from live experience, from surviving the whirlwind. Those painful seasons are often the very thing that accelerates us from just hearing about the market to truly seeing it.
So how does Job's story actually end? Well, he gets everything back, and then some. But what's the trigger? What's the mechanism? It's not when he finally understands why he suffered. It happens the moment he prays for the very friends who gave him all that terrible advice. Releasing that bitterness, that act of grace, that's the key that unlocks his own restoration.
And get this, the restoration wasn't just about getting back to even, it was a doubling. Everything was twice what it was before. The story makes a really powerful point here. The trajectory for someone who endures suffering with integrity isn't just recovery, it's growth beyond anything they had before. His latter days were blessed even more than his beginning.
So you see, the story of Job isn't just about how to survive a catastrophic loss. It's about how that very survival can transform you from someone who has only heard about the market into someone who truly sees it. And so the final question for your own journey is right here. What would it take for your latter days to exceed your beginning?